In this video on campaign creation, we are going to review the functions of the dialer tab. This tab allows us to set the type of dialer to be used in our outbound campaign. GoContact has 4 types of dialers: manual, power preview, power dialer, and predictive. Let's review the features and configurations of each dialer type. The manual dialer type is the most basic because the agents control the dialer. That means that they will have to dial the number call by call. We can establish a preview dial timeout in seconds. This sets a time limit that the agent has to preview the information before the call. We can also insert a dial prefix that will be added to the beginning of each number automatically. We can select our outbound DDI or DID from the list of DIDs available on the system. And we can choose to mark that number as private, which will block the caller ID so the contact will not see the number that the call is coming from. Our next option is Power Preview, and it's a step up in automation from manual. The agent views the information about the customer and then requests that the system make the call. So we have the same options to set a preview dial timeout in seconds, so the amount of time that the agent has to preview the information before they need to initiate the call. We can also add a campaign prefix here to be added to each of the numbers. We also need to set dialer contact states. So in this example, I have new calls coming in first, then callbacks, then recycles. But if I wanted to change that order, I can just simply click the arrow next to the state to move it either up or down the list. So if I wanted recycled calls to be second, I just would click that up arrow there. I can also choose the DID that I want to associate with my outbound campaign and choose whether or not I want to block the caller ID by marking it private or not. Our next option is going to be the power dial. And this is a fully automated dialer in which calls are automatically placed in the dialer. To configure this, we need to make sure that we set the call timeout in seconds. This is the time that the dialer will wait for the call to be connected. We also can set the preview dial timeout, the amount of time that the agent has to review the information. Again, we can enter a campaign prefix if we need to. We can order the dialer contact states if we want it to be in a different order. Maybe we want recycled calls to come in first, so we'll click the up arrow, and maybe we want new calls to be last, so we'll click the down arrow next to new. We need to set the max percentage of drop. So what percentage of calls from 0 to 100 that can drop or be disconnected because there is not an agent available to take the call. Next, we need to establish what will happen to these dropped calls. We can choose to hang up the call, or we can choose to have that call transferred to another queue. If we choose to have that call transferred to another queue, we need to select the queue from the available queues. We can activate the voicemail detection and decide whether we want to hang up the call or have an audio message play to let our customer know that we've attempted to contact them. To do this, we select Play Audio Message. And then we're going to access the audio manager. From here, we can choose to use one of the preloaded recordings. We can upload a recording of our own, or we can create a recording using the text-to-speech function on the platform. Whichever option we choose, we want to hit save. And then again, we can select our DID and then choose whether or not we want to block the caller ID for that number or not. Lastly, we have the predictive dialer. This places calls according to the percentage drop set by the administrator, typically around 3%. Most of the configuration options are similar to the power dialer. We have a call timeout, we have the preview dial timeout, we have the max percentage drop, we have our same dropped call actions, our DID and whether we want that to be private or not. We need to set our dialer contact states. The main difference is that we're going to need to configure the predictive dialer settings. So we need to set a base call ratio, which is how many calls can an agent take, and we need to set the error correction coefficient. This is the correction factor that the dialer will use on the call error statistics. Lower is more aggressive, 5 is about average, and 10 is almost no correction. Next, we have to select the statistic collection preference. We can decide if the dialer is going to self-regulate by using real-time statistics. This is the preferred option if you are just starting a campaign. We can choose to use historical data based on the order of operations. If we choose historical, all real-time statistics will be discarded. Or we can choose mixed, which uses a combination of both historical and real-time statistics.